Check out this break check between Factory Rider AP and then Superstar Ty Masterpool. Hey, let me slow it down a little bit, and you can see why I feel like this was not a mistake. Both these guys are coming in. Ty actually had AP's number as he caught him from last place. Later on in this video, you will see me analyze his crash that nobody talked about because he went from 40th to 5th. So anyway, I digress. Here we go. AP is coming on the inside, and honestly, guys, this is something that you can learn from. If you have a rider that is all over you, it is a confidence move to be able to brake check them and pull away, because you know after you brake check somebody, they are coming in hot. They have a vengeance. They have blood in the water. They've smelt it. They're going for it. Watch that rear wheel. It's spinning. It's spinning. And then he runs into him. Ty is lucky that he did not fall down, that rut was deep enough that you could literally just swing your leg over off the motorcycle and leave your bike there, or else he probably would have went down. And in one of my last live streams, I used this stating, hey, look, this is interesting that you've got the 3 factory guys and then the privateer that nobody really cares about. Maybe am I creating a narrative? Possibly, because this is the podium. So these guys are all getting ready to the podium. They're talking about it. But I feel Ty should have felt comfortable enough to come up onto him and have them all be like, hey, good job. But it might be one of those scenarios where it's the friend that nobody likes, where, you're talking crap about him. And then when he shows up, you're like, hey, how you doing? That's kind of the dynamic that we have between privateer and factory guys right now, and I really think that dynamic is going to change. I'll talk more about that in a bit. Shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about Danger Boy Deegan bringing the heat. Well, on the way back up the hill, he ends up tipping over and falling down while he was running in a podium position. But if you slow this down and you notice, he didn't just get off kiltered and tip over. No, he was drugged down. And what was he drugged down by? Well, watch that inside foot. Boom. It hits the rut next to him or on the inside of him, and that's really what took him down. Anytime you have a foot dab, it'll put you on your ass a good portion of the time. Here's another example. Cooper Webb running second. If we look closely, you can see his inside foot. He dabs it. And then as soon as he dabs it, that's when he falls over. It wasn't that he just lost the front end. Yeah, the front end could have been scooting a little bit because Lakewood they end up using like asphalt dirt or dirt that's on the road, and they end up putting it on the track, at least for the local. For the nationals, they bring in a lot new dirt, but that stuff is still left on the track. You can't just take a dirt off the track completely and then have brand new dirt all the time. Like, they do bring in new stuff for the national. However, some of that stuff is leftover residue. And my point is just watch his inside foot. Boom, it goes down. Then that front end pushes and he goes, right? So make sure to keep your feet up as long as you can. Back to Danger Boy. So Deegan might be a young kid, but he's a big boy. He's gained some weight. He's a big dog in the 250 class, and he wants to be heard. He's confident enough to push the issue, just like he did in Supercross with his own teammate. We notice him. He's looking right now. He's sizing Hunter up, going, hey, what do I need to do to keep this guy behind me? So from there, he looks over again. He's kind of slowing down. He's doing this on purpose because he wants to mess up Hunter's flow. Because if you can get in a rider's head, this is the whole Jason Lawrence to Ryan Dungey tactic. If you can mess with their psychosis, they're not going to be able to pass you. But Hunter, he's a veteran in the 250 class, because it's ironic that his younger brother is actually the one leading the 450s. But again, I'm digressing more. This is just part of Deegan's riding style, is he's trying to get inside your head. And that is totally okay, right? That is totally okay. If he can do it, not many people can do that. Conor McGregor is a fine example as to why people love him, is because his ability to start that fight inside the head rather than just do it in the octagon, or in this case on the track. And he continues to ride this way, as he's not so much cross jumping, but he's scrubbing enough and he's trying to look back to see where Hunter is. And as he continues going up the hill, he's blocking Hunter. Yes, he is blocking. He understands his surroundings, and Hunter, honestly, is fairly aware of what this rider is capable of, that he's not scared to at least have your bikes touch. So he understands the scenario, and he's making adaptations as he's trying to set up his pass. To me, this looks straight up like a cutoff, which it is, but that line is the line that Deegan was taking every other lap. So I can't really say that this was on purpose, because that was the line. If you're in front of somebody, you're free to take the lines you want, even if they kind of come together. However, Hunter ends up putting a stop to this because Deegan is starting to continue to play games as he's looking over, and right there he gets into the rut. Hunter has the line and comes in with authority to potentially put him on the ground. And this is something where if Deegan was fast enough, he would catch back up and make it heard that, hey, this isn't how you ride with me. But see, that's the thing that Deegan needs to learn, or he needs to just have a little bit more speed so he doesn't need to have these kind of tactics. He knew Hunter was faster than him, so he was trying to get in his head. And that's what I took from this scenario. If I am creating a narrative, that's what I believe it was, is Deegan slowed down. He knew that Hunter had his number, and so he was trying a different tactic to keep him behind him, because it is for a podium spot. It's for a bonus. It's super important. And if he's able to do that for his team and everyone, it is helping him out exponentially. So I'm not saying that this was in any way wrong, but Hunter was able to get the upper hand and make sure that, hey, this is okay. Man, that last one was very long-winded, so we'll make this one quick. You've got Deegan here, and he ends up taking a wrong line behind Cooper. I do like that he's picking different lines because he's trying to figure out how to get around Cooper. That's just good strategy, good racecraft. However, this line sucks. It's deep, and the roof of the lip can hit your foot pegs, and that's exactly what it does here, is it hits his foot pegs. So he's like, man, I need to get out of this thing. I need to get out of this thing so it doesn't make me crash. You can see it literally grab that bike and grab his feet. So he's going, what do I need to do? I need to wheelie out of it and not take that line again. I don't believe he took that line again, but look at it. It actually grabs his feet. And that's part of the reason why these guys ride on their toes, is so that they don't get yanked off. If you were on your heels, that heel is down about 2 inches more, and that's when you would get a guy that potentially does a knack without being in the air, is because the dirt is yanking him off the motorcycle. One of the main reasons I believe the entire 450 class, at least the factory riders, have been decimated, it's because they're worn out. They are tired. And Coach Rob Beams has created a new company called Complete Med Solutions, where his goal is to take sick care to healthcare as far as blood evaluations go. And he says you need to have a blood test every 3 to 4 months. And from the results of that, you are going to be able to optimize your performance and adapt your training program to see if you're getting tired. And this is going to help you prevent getting Addison's disease, Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue syndrome. And it's actually quite a bit faster to get your blood evalved than a traditional doctor, where you're waiting sometimes a month or more in order to get that information. So keep an eye out for Complete Med Solutions when it drops. The 450 start, and I really would have liked people to give the privateer a little bit more credit. This individual right here, Ty, because he ended up on the ground going from last to fifth. And what happened here? Yeah, front end just washes. And why did that front end wash? Well, he was next to Drake here, and he potentially didn't want to create a giant pileup. So what do? You grab some brakes, because you were just hauling your butt up to the first corner. And if you're going super fast, it's pushing. And if you don't have a whole lot of traction, you're going to slide. And that's what happens. And he kind of starts a pileup there, unfortunately. But we can see him picking his bike up last. But he still makes it up to Plessinger and getting around Dylan Ferrandis and passing some pretty heavy hitters as far as factory guys. Man, it is unfortunate that we're seeing some gnarly start crashes, and there might be some truth with the gates being graded, because you just have more traction, therefore you have more speed. And especially if these guys are starting in first gear, this might have been a deal where a 250 was starting in first gear. Yeah, I still think it's ridiculous to start in first gear at Lakewood. But again, I could see some guys doing this, especially this privateer Visger, who unfortunately ended up causing this. We'll watch this in slow motion and boom, we'll see what ends up happening. What do you think caused this, right? Well, I will tell you what I believe after looking through this. So we've got, I believe, the 299 of Visger on the inside. He's got a good gate pick, right? And that's this rider right here. And he starts wheeling. And I don't know if he lets off or pulls in the clutch, but as soon as that front wheel drops, he runs into a rider or a rider next to him, right? That might be Shimoda. Ends up running into his elbow. And boom, it creates this massive pileup. So again, we could create a narrative that the gates are what's causing this gnarly thing, or it could just be a racing incident. We won't know until we have some more statistics later on in the season to really see this, because the MXGP, they've been using gates for a while on some pretty fast tracks too. However, I am somebody that doesn't like grates on motocross. I don't like concrete on motocross. I like dirt. I think it brings another variable that the riders have to pick and choose for, because you've got a rut that is going to slow you down, and then you got a rut in front of you that's going to slow you down. And I think the track prep at Lakewood, they did a great job, because around the first turn, it normally gets pretty gnarly, and they kept it pretty smooth. It just was ironic that ended up happening before the first corner. Then we have a clash of two titans in the 450 class, AP and Dylan Fernandez, on some pretty big factory teams, Star Yamaha and Red Bull Factory KTM. Emotions are high, especially on the first lap, and that's exactly what this is you're just at mercy of trying to ride at 150%. That's the difference between American motocross and European motocross, is these guys just go for broke in the first couple laps. Not as much the 450 class as the 250 class, but it still happens. And unfortunately, this was just a hip, right? This was a bad line by Dylan. Dylan was racing. He was trying to get around Freddie Noren quickly, and he thought he could do it on the outside, and he probably should have just followed, because that made him go into a bad line, right? Because he's pushing the issue right here. So this was really all Dylan's fault by pushing the issue too quickly, because he should have been able to make this inside here, but he noticed he can't get around him, so he misses that inside, and now he's stuck with a crappy line. And AP is ready to make the pass instantly, and he comes in, and the lines just come together. They just come together. You can see Dylan actually see it happening, so he tries to move over, but the lines just come together, and then they lean on top of each other. Just wrong place, wrong time, but it was really caused by Dylan being overzealous by not just slamming on his brakes and following the leader just a little bit. And then you've got AP doing the same thing. And again, it's hard to judge these riders for making a thousandths of a second decision. Not a split second decision, but a thousandths second decision. Oh boy, this is what I was alluding to at the very beginning of the video. We're just going to watch it in real time. And you've got Harlan, who is a privateer guy racing with AC. Regardless if AC is injured, you've got a privateer that's breathing down your neck. This is going to make the factory guys nervous. I said that in my live chat right after the race. And these guys are pushing the issue. They're pushing the envelope. The privateers want to make money, and they want to be seen. They want to have what the factory guys have. And so they have nothing to lose. There's a reason as to why you always give an enemy an exit. At least that's what Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War. Great book. Is because if you have somebody that is ready to fight for their life, which is AKA privateer, because they really have nothing to lose, they're going to fight with the aptitude of risking it all that you might not be prepared to do. And I think that there is a changing of the guard happening, at least in this season, where the privateer riders are noticing, hey, you know what? I think I can actually get this done. You know what? Masterpool did it. I know I'm just as good of a rider as Masterpool. Hey, Derek Drake can do it. I'm just as good of a rider as Derek Drake. Hey, Freddie Norn is doing it. Hey, Harlan is doing it. Now we have some competition going. This is excellent, and I can't wait to see it unfold, because the human mind is capable of amazing things as long as you don't limit it by, I'm not as good as them. They've got more money than me. They've got better equipment than me. They're more talented than me. And that is changing. This is Johnny F. and Hopper. Till next time, keep it WFO. Ba-ra-da-da-da-da-da.